Welcome and thanks for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gamansing. The new voting machines have finally arrived in both districts, but the elections system is still functioning without proper leadership. News 2's Erica Parsons was at the St. Croix District Board meeting and has more.
43 new voting machines are now in the hands of the election system, 22 in the St. Thomas district and 21 on St. Croix. That's according to board officials during Wednesday's meeting.
The DS200 machines that have been selected and approved by the select committee and paid for in a contractual agreement with ESNS, the machines have been in the version over 2 weeks now. Our share in St. Croix is here, the St. Thomas share is in St. Thomas for use and for demonstration purposes.
The St. Thomas machines are being held at the elections office while the St. Croix machines are being stored with a private company.
We have to get a secure place because we're missing some keys. The back of the office is not secured because whoever had those keys probably still have them and they can access the board. Mr. Abramson, the last day of employment according to record is May 31st. So if he have those keys, he shouldn't be able to come in here to interfere with anything. And we don't want that anybody else, that those who have the keys that are picked up and haven't returned, be in the building where we're not here. So we have the machines separate and apart from the old Danaher 1242 because we have to, by law, maintain those machines in our custody.
Meanwhile, the clock is running out on the time to replace the supervisor of elections and fill the 2 deputy supervisor positions vacant in each district. Supervisor John Abramson Jr. submitted his resignation effective May 31st, which passed last week. Board member Rupert Ross Jr. said Abramson told him he paid utility and other operating costs through July 30th. A staff member told the board she could only confirm that was true up to June 30th. That leaves the search committee only 3 weeks to find Abramson's replacement.
Next week, they will do an interview for the applicants for the supervisor of election, which tells me that you won't have a supervisor in place until sometime in July because those positions of signatures to certification have to be removed from the government system and all financial records of Mr. Abramson, Ms. Maduro, and Mr. Weber.
Search committee members said they've narrowed the field of candidates for supervisor to 4, and interviews are expected to begin next Wednesday. Interviews for the deputy supervisor positions could begin as early as next Thursday. Erica Parsons, News 2.
The board voted to continue to demonstrate use of the new voting machines to schools, Rotary, and any other interested groups. Well, in a radio address late this afternoon, Governor Jongh outlined the territory's financial challenges, shared his proposals for fiscal solvency, and laid out the approach he will take to achieve these goals in cooperation with the 30th legislature. The radio address provided Jongh an opportunity to explain why he opted to delay submission of the fiscal year 2014 budget by a few weeks.
I know our employees want their 8% restored, and I want us to have it, but we cannot afford it right now. I know that employees do not want to put their health insurance coverage or that of their families at risk, and neither do I. Yet what we do now will set the foundation for the development of the next year's budget. I am delivering today to the Senate President proposed legislation to do the following. First, it will authorize bank funding that will bridge our spending needs for the balance of this fiscal year. Second, it will extend the 8% salary rollback through the end of this fiscal year. And this is a critical step that will reduce our cash outflow and is necessary if we are to secure the bank funding. And finally, it will authorize the funding of health insurance premiums for the balance of this fiscal year. This is my approach, and these are my proposals, and I'm calling upon the senators to support me and pass these measures.
And we will have more from the governor's address on Thursday's newscast. Meanwhile, Governor Jongh and members of his staff toured 2 waste management facilities on St. Croix Tuesday. Waste management officials explained to the governor how operations at the new Peters Rest Convenience Center and the waste transfer station at the Anguilla landfill work.
A lot of what the waste management folks have been doing, I think, is pretty groundbreaking in terms of how they're spending time to make sure that we get as much value out of our waste as possible. Here at the transfer station, getting a chance to see how they bale and wrap, how they do the scrap metal, how they do the mulch, how all of that then has value to us as we do the landfill, was something I wanted a chance to look at with waste management. When you look at the transfer station, you look at the bin site, the convenience center over by Peters Rest, I think you see the progression of what's really happened by the Waste Management Authority, both in terms of getting the getting away from just having a site where people dump to now where it's regulated, and individuals now have a chance to put their waste, whether it be household waste, e-waste, or just regular waste in some particular bins, and then you have a chance to come here and see how they're utilizing that waste, segmenting it, and using it towards the closure of the landfill.
Well, over 150 participants are expected to attend the USVI 2013 Economic Development Summit in D.C. as a way for Virgin Islanders on the mainland to engage with territory leaders and identify ways in which the broader VI community could reconnect and contribute their skills and talents to benefit the community. The summit is being hosted by the USVI Alliance with the support of the 340 Group, LLC, a Virginia consulting firm owned and operated by Virgin Islanders. The team is based in the Washington, D.C., Metro, New York City, and St. Thomas. The event will feature discussions and presentations by Governor John P. Jongh Jr., Lieutenant Governor Gregory Francis, and Delegate to Congress Donna Christensen. Receptions were held at Government House on St. Thomas and St. Croix for 2013 graduates of the Jobs for America's Graduates VI program. The program, which was introduced in the Virgin Islands in 2009, is an effective method to keep at-risk students in school focused on higher education or career opportunities. The territory's 4 public high schools participate in the JAG VI program.
You know, for those of you that are graduates, you're going to go on to college, military, different aspects of your lives, but know that you're not going to do it by yourselves. You have a support in this room, support from your family structure, and your specialists don't disappear. They're going to follow you to the end. You know, you get support from the Department of Education, support from the Department of Labor. So know that the success you have here, enjoy it. But now you have to go back towards the end of the dictionary and start looking up the word walk again.
And that was a little excerpt from the graduation. Congratulations to all the graduates. Even the smallest bit of information may be just what law enforcement needs to solve crimes. If that's the key, Crime Stoppers has proven successful, and police hope you can continue to help. On St. Croix on Thursday, May 23rd at 8:35 p.m., police were called because of gunshots in the vicinity of 123 Estate Carlton. Police found a number of bullet holes in the side of the house and a male resident in his late 20s who had suffered a gunshot wound to his hand. Witnesses saw a silver or gray vehicle leaving the scene. If you observed any vehicle or any persons in the area at the time of this shooting, please let Crime Stoppers know. Help put an end to these senseless shootings that are plaguing our communities. On St. John on Tuesday, April 9th at 2:30 p.m., police received a report from 2 females that while they were swimming at Honeymoon Beach, their handbags were stolen. The handbags contained 2 iPhones, cash, 2 Canon cameras, and other personal items. Help police identify the thief. Now over on St. Thomas on Monday, May 20th, at 9:50 p.m., officers were dispatched to Lime Street in Estate 22. Upon arrival, they found a male lying in the road bleeding from a gunshot wound. The man who was shot by unknown gunmen died. Tell police what you know about this murder. Tell Crime Stoppers what you know about these or any other crimes by calling 1-800-222-TIPS. Now, if your tip leads to an arrest or the recovery of stolen property, illegal drugs, or weapons, you will receive a cash reward to be paid according to instructions. The minimum reward for the arrest of a homicide suspect is $1,500. For the arrest of an assailant, it's $900. For the arrest of a thief, it's $536. President Obama is shaking up his national security team. Today he announced Susan Rice will be his new national security advisor. He also chose a former White House aide to take Rice's job at the United Nations. Danielle Nottingham reports from the White House.
President Obama introduced Susan Rice as his next national security advisor, saying she is the right person for the job.
Susan's the consummate public servant, a patriot who puts her country first. She is fearless. She is tough.
Rice, the current U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, replaces Tom Donilon, who has served since 2010.
I look forward to continuing to serve on your national security team to keep our nation strong.
The president had considered nominating Rice to replace Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State, but Rice withdrew her name after Republicans accused her of trying to cover up the deadly attack on the U.S. consulate in Benghazi, Libya. Rice initially said in television interviews the violence was likely spontaneous, not a planned terrorist attack. Republicans made it clear they wouldn't have confirmed Rice as Secretary of State, but she does not need Senate approval for this White House post. One of Rice's harshest critics, Arizona Senator John McCain, tweeted that he disagreed with her appointment, but would make every effort to work with her on important issues. The president also named former White House aide Samantha Power to take over for Rice at the UN.
It would be the honor of a lifetime to fight for American values and interests at the United Nations.
Her nomination does need Senate confirmation. Danielle Nottingham, CBS News, the White House.
And keeping our eye on the economy, the long-awaited latest BlackBerries with physical keyboards are finally available in the U.S. The rollout comes months after the touchscreen versions went on sale. T-Mobile began selling the BlackBerry Q10 today. The touch-only Z10 went on sale earlier this year, but many longtime BlackBerry users prefer a physical keyboard. This is the New York Stock Exchange with Scotiabank Stock Market Watch. Everything down. The Dow 216, NASDAQ 43, S&P 22. Coming up on News 2, the first named tropical storm of the season, Tropical Storm Andrea, forms over the Gulf. News 2's AccuWeather forecast is coming up next. Plus, find out why mental health is a big topic in Washington this week, as well as the Hollywood scene. Don't miss Into Your Health. Delegate to Congress Donna Christensen joined her congressional colleagues, mental health advocates, educators, media, healthcare providers, faith leaders, and individuals who have struggled with mental illness at the National Conference on Mental Health, hosted by President Barack Obama and Vice President Biden at the White House on Monday. The goal of the conference was to increase understanding and awareness and discuss how all parties could work together to reduce stigma and help millions of Americans struggling with mental health problems, recognizing the importance of reaching out for assistance. Now, that conference drew also many from Hollywood to help President Obama create a buzz about the need to address mental health problems in America. Danielle Nottingham reports. The conference is part of the response to last year's massacre at a Connecticut elementary school.
Award-nominated actress Glenn Close is at the White House talking about the need to reduce the stigma surrounding mental illness.
Everybody in this room has to work together to start the conversation and to end it.
The actress's sister and nephew have both been diagnosed with mental health disorders.
If you have the courage to start talking about it, and if you have the love and support of your friends and family in doing that, you are taking a huge step towards your own recovery.
Close and actor Bradley Cooper, who portrayed a bipolar character in Silver Linings Playbook, are helping to raise awareness.
I want to help. I want to do something about it. I want to be a part of the solution.
60% of people with mental illness don't get help. The White House wants to change that. President Obama pushed for a new focus on mental health treatment as well as gun control after the massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut.
It's about elevating that conversation to a national level and bringing mental illness out of the shadows. We want to let people living with mental health challenges know that they are not alone.
Beginning next year, people with mental illness will have an easier time getting health insurance. Under the Affordable Care Act, patients with mental issues can't be denied coverage. President Obama's 2014 budget also calls for $130 million to help train educators to recognize early signs of mental illness in students. At the White House, Danielle Nottingham, News 2.
Mental illness is also an issue for veterans. President Obama announced VA centers nationwide will hold summits to tackle mental health in the military community. Well, Michael Jackson's daughter, Paris Jackson, is just 15 years old, the second child of the late Michael Jackson. But when news broke that she'd been rushed to the hospital early Wednesday morning, there were hints of a possible suicide attempt. Entertainment Tonight said on its website that Paris's mother confirmed her daughter tried to take her own life and said the teenager has a lot going on these days. The LA County Fire Department confirms that crews responded overnight to calls from the neighborhood for a possible overdose. There's been no word yet from the Jacksons, but a few tweets from Paris may say something about her mood in recent days. On Tuesday, Paris quoted the Beatles tweeting, "Yesterday, all my troubles seemed so far away. Now it looks as though they're here to stay." June 25th marks the 4-year anniversary of Michael's death. Stick around, your News 2 AccuWeather forecast is coming up next.